welcome to the Moustache and Blade podcast, a show dedicated to all things facial fur and traditional wet shaving in an effort to create global facial awareness. And now, here are your hosts, Douglas Smythe and Ryan Stephen Green.
And this is Douglas Smythe, and with him as always, the irrepressible
Ryan Stephen Green.
And today's show is brought to you by HowToGrowMustacheStore.com, where you can find all your wet shaving needs and more.com. No, scrap the .com. But please, folks, check us out today. That's HowToGrowMustacheStore.com. We really appreciate your support and couldn't do any of this without you. So thank you. We're very, very grateful for all of our listeners and all of our supporters out there. So cheers to you. Now, I probably need to give all of you listeners a little explanation. Because we've been I've been kind of MIA. And it's not my fault. Well, it is kind of my fault. I did decide to move. So I tried to make it clear to everyone via social media that I was moving across the country. And this was going to take some time. And, the podcast wouldn't be up for a couple weeks. Well, it's been about 3 weeks now. And I keep getting these emails. They're not necessarily angry, but they're accusatory. Like, dear Douglas and Ryan, you've toyed with my emotions. Now I'm going to send you some pictures. And I don't really know what that one means, but I'm excited to get the pictures in. I'm not sure if they have my new address, though, so I might not see those pictures for some time now. So, stuff like that. Some weird stuff, some cool stuff, some just very supportive stuff. Some people just assume we stopped doing it, and that will never happen, folks. At least not before episode 342. But at this being episode 24, you have nothing to fear. We are back at it and on fire, if you will. So, that said, again, I want to apologize for leading you on. But I'm really, we're going all the way today. We're back, and we're not going to slow down unless I move again. But it's looking pretty great. I'm really digging Arizona. I love the weather. I'm very inspired. It's good to be here. It's also good to be in the same time zone as Ryan. So, with all that said and explained and done, if you have any questions for us and would like us to answer them on air, you can call us at 347-333-1511. If you are outside of the United States, please dial 001 first. You can also reach us via email. I am Douglas at mustacheandblade.com, and Ryan is, Ryan at mustacheandblade.com.
Holla at you, boy.
Please email us with any questions, concerns, comments, suggestions, and we will read them on the air. And I believe that's it in that regard. So moving on to today's show. Today's show, we'll be hearing from the Village Barber, Iain Kane. He'll be stopping by to share one of his tips from the barber chair, as we just decided to call that now. So we'll be hearing from Iain. We'll also be hearing from the Razor Queen, Tiffany Pisarcik of RazorEmporium.com. She'll be doing yet another On the Scene with the Razor Queen interview for us. And then we'll be hearing from me. I'll be giving you another quick wet shaving tip. And aside from that, another section that I don't know what to call it. I have all this pent-up stuff going on in me. And so I included a new segment, and I guess we could call it it's not a rant. It's more like a day in the life of Smythe. That's what we'll call it. Okay, so yeah, we're going to have a little day in the life of Smythe, which doesn't have so much to do with wet shaving, but I think it might entertain. Some of you might get a kick out of it, and let's face it, folks, I'm just putting the show back together. I need some content. So we got that going on. And lastly, Ryan and his lovely wife, Jess, will be taking us on a tour of the haunted King GIllette Mansion in California, strangely enough. This is a ranch that was actually owned by King C. GIllette. So we got a lot going on in this episode. So without any more ado, or don't, let's get this show on the road. Shave on!
Moustache and Blade.
Hi, this is Iain Kane from villagebarber.com with your Moustache and Blade podcast shaving tip. And I'm often asked about aftershave, and do I advocate the use of it? Well, yes, I don't have a problem with it. My big advice to you is, though, never put it onto freshly shaved skin. That's why it burns. It's burning the skin, it's damaging your skin. That's not to say that you still can't wear your favourite cologne or your better half's favourite smelling aftershave. Just simply dab some behind your ears and on the back of your neck, never on newly, freshly shaved skin. You'll still smell great of your favourite aftershave. You just won't have caused more damage to your skin in the process. Always use a good quality aftershave balm that has natural ingredients and that you'll notice does not sting after shaving. This is Iain Kane, villagebarber.com. If you want to find out more, please visit the website, villagebarber.com. Thanks for listening.
Hi, everybody. You're on the scene with the Razor Queen. This is Tiffany Pisarcik with Razor Emporium, coming to you live from Project Las Vegas.
Hi, I'm Dimitri Damascus. I'm the co-founder of Game Day Skincare. We produce a variety of natural high-end shaving and skincare items designed specifically for men, created in Miami, Florida.
Awesome. Well, welcome, Dimitri.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So tell me a little bit about your products.
So all our products are naturally made in Miami, Florida. All are cruelty-free, no GMOs, and they use airless packaging, so you really eliminate waste. And everything's made for the man who's working out, eating right, wants to look good. The next step would be proper skincare. So we really took like a men's morning routine, a lot of shaving, and really packed all of the anti-aging, anti-acne into shaving goods. So we've got a pre-shave, help stand the hairs, eliminate razor burn, get a nice, close, comfortable shave. Shaving cream's a natural brushless sandalwood, helps stand up the hairs, gets you a nice, close shave, has aloe, hydrates the skin, eliminates razor burn, and then the aftershave is a high-end serum. So as opposed to an alcohol that dries out the skin, just really hydrates it, plumps it out, soothes all the razor burn, nicks, cuts that you'll get from the shave, but then at the same time really hydrates the skin. Alpine willow herb extract allows you to use it every day. You won't break out, but it's also soothing. So instead of it burning, it's a real modern twist to it. You put it on, cools you down for about 15 minutes. You're feeling good, a little energized, but not overpowering.
Fantastic. So Game Day's a fairly new product.
Mm-hmm.
What sets you apart from some of your competitors?
A lot of the brands are kind of on a different kind of perspective buyer, I would say. So we're kind of going after the man who's like working out, sporty, masculine, but at the same time might not be into kind of some of the hipster type of brands that you see. So it's for the guy who's really committed to looking good, wants high quality products, but might not want something that's a little more fashionista and a little more sporty.
Awesome. Well, you seem super passionate about wet shaving. How did you get started in the business?
So, I'm Greek, so I have a lot of hair. So it's always been an issue of mine with razor burn, shaving all the time. So just my dad does Botox. He wanted to go into the product side of the field as he got older. So him and I decided that since we're both Greek, have a lot of hair, let's do a shaving company. And we kind of bought in his skincare expertise into it and just hit the ground running 8 months ago, and we've just been seeing great success both with our customers, how their skin's turning out, but also just how people are receiving the brand.
Okay, Dimitri, so it sounds like you're super passionate about helping men just avoid razor bumps and burn. What advice would you give to somebody who's just starting out?
So I would say there's always the classic issue of do you shave after the shower or before the shower?
Sure.
So as somebody who used to get a ton of razor burn, I would say I'm definitely committed to shaving after the shower just to get the pores open, get the hairs to stand a little bit. You get a little bit of a smoother shave, so I would say that's definitely a necessity. I would also say that you've got to try a few shaving creams to see really how your skin reacts. So they're all a little bit different. Everyone uses different ingredients. There's a ton of good ones on the market, but you've just got to try and see like which ones your skin works with. Also with the aftershave, I would say that's definitely something you should look into. Just try a few, see how your skin reacts, see what you want. Do you want a little more traditional based one, or do you want a modern serum based one? Also, guys didn't really use a pre-shave in the past. Now they're starting to get into it. So if you really have razor burn issues, you need to have a pre-shave ritual. So what I do is I get out of the shower, put on our pre-shave, helps stand the hairs, clear away the dead skin, really preps your face for the shaving cream. Put the shaving cream on, nice, hot, wet face, then just shave, put the aftershave, and you should be good to go.
Perfect. Well, tell our listeners out there where we can find you online.
So you can find us on GameDayMens.com, but you can also find us on Birchbox, Derm Store, BJ's Wholesale, other leading distributors.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Hey guys, my name is Sean Casilli. I'm really enjoying your podcast, and when you guys were mentioning some of your favorite movie shaves, it actually made me think back. It's not a movie, but Three Stooges, Shemp, Batman shaving in this one scene. You can find it on YouTube by doing a search for Shemp shaving Three Stooges. Yeah, I don't know really how to describe it other than, it's like seeing somebody, deadlift like 2,000 pounds or something. You just have mad respect and awe, but at the same time it's completely unreasonable and a joke. But it's just It's the quintessential of manliness. But anyhow, check it out. Hope you guys enjoy it.
Hey guys, Ryan here. Just want to say thank you so much for the letters that you send, for the phone calls that we get. It really does mean a lot because, we record this show in a void. Even though when you listen to it, it sounds like we're right there with you. We're actually just on Skype having a conversation. And so to get the feedback from you is really a special thing to us. So keep them coming. We got a phone call from a guy named Sean. And Sean was talking about the shaving scenes that we tend to ruminate upon from time to time on the show. And he brought up the shaving scene with Shemp of the Three Stooges. I have seen this particular scene, and in fact I think Doug was the one that pointed me to it. It is madcap Three Stooges comedy at its finest. It is, if I could use just one adjective, I would say a frenzied shave. It is quite hilarious, to say the least. I don't, like Sean in his message, I don't know how to describe it other than that, except for look it up on YouTube and watch it. It's quite a hoot. So that's what I got on the Shemp shaving scene. Shemp of Three Stooges fame. Back to you, Doug. On with the show.
As an artisan soap maker and amateur inventor of things, I often find myself perusing the aisles of hardware stores. As I've mentioned in the past, these are great places to think. Anything can become a soap mold, anything can become a brush holder, anything can become a razor holder. That said, any of you men out there ever find yourself in the middle of Home Depot wearing flip-flops and feeling really inadequate? I do this over and over again. Especially now that I live in Arizona. I feel like a freaking Boy Scout, or even worse, a Girl Scout. I'm there walking by all these contractors and jeans and boots and flannels, and I feel their stares. I mean, I could be skipping down the aisles, blitzed out on ecstasy, and still be getting the same stares. And this could all be in my head, but I seem to doubt it. In psychology, as some of us have learned in Psych 101, this is called spotlight syndrome. This, as you may have already deduced, is when you feel as if all eyes are on you, or that you are under a spotlight. The irony of all this is that I came up with this prognosis while wearing flip-flops in the lighting section of my local Home Depot, standing directly under, well, a spotlight. Acknowledging this, I concluded clearly this was not all in my mind. So, I pulled the cord out of said spotlight and vowed right then and there to myself, never again. And I thought about this all the way home. For my next visit to the hardware store, I would, well, accessorize. And I know what you're thinking. And yes, I did use accessorize and hardware store in the same sentence. Clearly I was doomed and should have quit right then and there. But, alas, I didn't. Welcome to the wacky world of Douglas Smythe. That night I went on eBay and looked for some used contractor-type shirts, with the name tag, like Doug. Now, I'm not the biggest guy on the field, but damned if I could find anything in my size. So I had to order a new one. Not a problem. I did find some beat-up old Carhartt pants covered in paint stains, so that was nice. Lastly, I needed a good old pair of work boots. Naturally, I had some reservations about buying secondhand boots, so I bought a new pair of those as well. By the end of the week, my hardware store outfit had showed up, piece by piece. And I was in the mood for some, well, Home Depot. I really love that place. As I pulled the boots out of the box, a pink business card fell out. It was for Kitty's Boot Boutique. Great. Not thinking about it, I slipped it into my back pocket and moved on to the next article. I slipped into my Carhartt pants and was about to pull on the boots when I realized these puppies were way too clean. I would clearly be pointed out as a phony, and that's when I eyed the morning coffee grounds, still in the paper filter, on top of the compost bucket. Now, don't get me wrong. Being a guy, I have nothing wrong with real dirt or grime. But there really is none of that here where I live now in the desert. It's all dust. It really doesn't stick. Coffee grounds were clearly the second best choice for dirt. My girlfriend walked by me in the kitchen while I was in the act of smearing compost into my new shoes. She didn't make a peep nor shake her head. She really has come to accept my certain, well, eccentricities. I also thought to add a few squirts of brown food coloring to the leather. Soon my shoes were a brown, grimy, soppy mess in the sink. I took a hand towel and tried to dry them off, but it was too late. They truly were saturated. By now my girlfriend was back in the kitchen, just watching or maybe supervising. That's probably a better way to describe it. Seeing that I was in a panic state and filled with frustration, she knew only too well I was about to improvise. I felt my eyes looking in the direction of the clothes dryer. That was dumb. Now she was shaking her head like a scolding mom. "Remember last time," she said. I won't get into what she was referring to, but let's just say my dryer privileges were suspended for now. At that, she picked up her travel mug full of coffee, kissed me goodbye, and headed out the door to meet up with a friend. The cat quickly replaced her in the babysitter chair at the kitchen table. So this is what I've turned into. Douglas Smythe, man boy. What was I going to do? I could hang them on the line, but that would take hours to dry. My eyes scanned the room and stopped at the microwave. Yep, that should do it. I mean, what could 50 seconds do? As men, we like to take stuff apart, see what makes it tick. And when we get a minute, we put it back together. In that same minute, we'll usually finish fixing the sink or finish painting the room. You know that minute I'm talking about. It's like the minute that never comes. Regardless, we take stuff apart. We all know this to be fact. But have any of us ever deconstructed footwear? I'm willing to bet no. This really is a shame because had I done so in the past, I would have known there is more to boot than just a rubber heel, leather, and string. You can all learn from my mistake right now. Turns out, modern work boot soles have rather large air pockets in them to aid in absorbing shock. Thank you, Michael Jordan. What happens when you heat up air, or air pockets? Within 30 seconds, the soles of my new shoes started bubbling like moon boots, and I'm pretty sure the steel toes set off a small lightning storm. I quickly pressed the open-off button, bubbles collapsed. Smoke poured out, cube-shaped, like Play-Doh through the Fun Factory, if you remember the Fun Factory. "For the love of God!" I shrieked. Frank the cat just shook his head and then went back to licking himself. I shooed him away. I began to open the windows in a panic and then turned on the fan above the stove before the fire alarms could sound. When the smoke cleared from the microwave, I pulled out my boots with oven mitts, and they smelled of leather, stale Starbucks with a base note of burnt rubber. As an artisan who creates his own scents, I went into analyzing mode. Leather? Coffee? Burnt rubber? Not all that bad. I filed the scent profile away for a later date. I then put the boots in the freezer and left them to cool for a few moments while I made my way around the house, detaching 9-volt batteries from the now-sounding fire alarms. The microwave was still smoking when I got back to the kitchen, and, well, pretty trashed. I decided rather than to clean it up with a dishcloth, I could use my new work shirt to add instant street cred. The coffee, water, and food coloring had become gooey and sap-like. I sopped it up quickly with my shirt. A puddle of this polymer had collected in the undercarriage below the plate. I shrugged my shoulders and scrubbed that up too. Okay, I am ready. I walked out the door in my new Home Depot outfit, reeking of, well, wet dog. I blame that on the leather. Stale coffee and burnt rubber. This truly was the scent of man. The steel toes still retained some heat, so I had this really funky strut going on. I chose to embrace it and make it work for me. In the car, I cranked up the classic rock station and made my way to Home Depot. Once inside the hardware megaplex, I felt at ease. No eyes were upon me, and I fit right in. I began to wander the aisles, nodding at all the other contractors. I was amazed at how well I played the part. Even my posture became better. Every now and again, I would catch a whiff of myself, and it would only bring that same self-satisfied smirk back to my face. After an hour of this, it then came time for checking out. I really didn't need anything on this particular trip, but I always feel guilty walking into a store and leaving without buying anything. So I had a random handful of different-sized washers, a 2-foot-long dowel, and some odd-sized scraps of PVC pipe. The cute cashier eyed me curiously when I approached her. "Did you find everything you were looking for?" she asked as her eyes fell on the random odds and ends I had laid down on the counter before her. "Why, yes, I did," I answered, a little too excited. "Are you a contractor?" she asked. Wow. This was really working out for me. Clearly, my rugged good looks and rustic outfit had fooled her. "Actually, yes, I am, little lady," I answered her with new confidence. I was gushing, and then she asked for my number. I couldn't believe it. All these years I was overdressing. I'd been so blind. I really was caught off guard and not sure what to do. Although I might add, I really did in the moment forget about my girlfriend and, well, even my cat Frank. I was a contractor now, the new rock star. But I fell right in, so I quickly jotted down my digits on the back of a pink Kitty's Boot Boutique card and slid it her way, trying to lock eyes with her. But she just stared down at the pink card, kind of confused. She blushed. So I blushed sympathetically. I assure you, it had not become clear yet that I had created, well, a really awkward moment for all involved. Until she said, "I meant your contractor number." Well, I left Home Depot deflated and head down, stinking like a coffee maker in a shoe shop that was on fire. Driving away, I turned off the classic rock station I had listened to on the way over in an attempt to get into character. I really needed to reflect on this, take it all in. Was there a lesson to be learned here? What was the takeaway? At the moment I was about to turn into my driveway, I then saw my girlfriend kicking the front door open and walking to the garage with what looked like a microwave. She saw me, and we easily locked eyes, and then she shook her head. I decided to drive around the block a couple more times before I went home that night. The end. And welcome back to another quick wet shaving tip with your host, Douglas Smythe. Hey folks, it's good to be back. It's not that I'm really unprepared for this week's quick wet shaving tip. I just wanted to do a little shop talk type exploration maybe of some concepts. And, this is mostly for the noobs out there, but it's also for some of the more experienced wet shavers among us as well that may have not come to this conclusion or taken it into consideration. It's about blades. Now, I know we all have our favorites, we all have our preferences, and we all keep an open mind that maybe we'll find that Excalibur, if you will, out there in the wild. Our perfect blade, our favorite blade, our daily driver. I know I feel this way. But what I've noticed lately, or what I've been just thinking about lately, and I may have touched upon this in a few episodes in the past, but never really put any focus on it. Maybe just brushed it aside or talked over or beyond it. But what I want to do is put some focus on it. So you get a pack of new blades in, and you give it a go. You have high hopes. You've seen this blade in a lot of shave of the days, and you're thinking this could be it. This could be the one. And it's not. Is it a dud? You don't know. So maybe you try another one for that second pass. Still, it's really not what you're looking for. Well, I'm here today to tell you, rather than make up your mind in that moment and throw them all away, like you're going to do that, or piff them, or trade them, or sell them, try that blade out in your other razors. Assuming you have other razors, and most of us do because we're twisted individuals suffering from certain disorders, which we've also talked about in the past. What I found is, before I make my mind, it's better to try that blade across the collection. And 9 out of 10 times, I can find a razor that blade will work very well in. So I've come to jotting it down in I'm a little embarrassed to say, my shave journal, and I keep telling myself the only reason why I have this is because I do reviews and I will use this in the future. But I will also use it, now that I'm saying this out loud, I realize I will also use it on the show. So that's why I keep a shave journal. But in all honesty, we should all be keeping a shave journal of some sort. It's just a great way to learn and to get better and to evolve as a wet shaver. So, that being said, spread that blade out among your collection. See what razor that does actually perform well in. Each razor is built differently. I mean, you have your twist opens, you have your 3 pieces. I mean, it's about blade gap. It's about the construction of the razor. They all perform differently. So rather than make up your mind in that moment, only trying it for one shave, spread it among the collection. Really give it a whirl. And when you do find that razor that does work well with that blade, make a note of it. You might even choose to write it down on the pack of blades. So that's my quick wet shaving tip of the week by Douglas Smythe. I will talk to you folks next week. Thanks for hanging in there. Thanks for listening. And I have to say, we couldn't do this without you. In our absence for the last couple weeks, it's been more than a pleasure receiving all the email support, wondering what's going on, begging for the next episode. And I'm just very happy to be doing this right now. I love doing this show. So thank you, folks. And I will see you next week. Shave on, Colin.
Hello, fellows. Mr. Green. And you guessed it, I'm on the scene. And today, I have another special guest with me for the excursion. It's Mrs. Green. That is Jessica. We're in the car right now on our way to a very special location. I'm going to let Jess explain where we're going because this is all her doing. And it's pretty exciting. Here's Jess. Say hello, honey.
Hello, listeners. This is Mrs. Green. This excursion came about as I was perusing Sunset Magazine earlier this week. They often have day trips around Southern California, and I was surprised to come across their day trip to Calabasas, California. I didn't know anything worth seeing existed in Calabasas, California, but not only does it boast Malibu Creek State Park, where you are likely to see a variety of birds and foxes, it also boasts the Malibu Hindu Temple, which looks glorious, and many restaurants, among them sushi and homemade pasta. So, having read about this, I was already sold on going for a hike with Mr. Green in the Calabasas, or Santa Monica Mountains, rather. But I could not pass this day trip up when I read that these mountains also boast the sprawling 550-acre 1920s King C. GIllette Ranch. Yes, that is GIllette of the razor renown. His ranch was commissioned by architect Wallace Neff to be paradise on earth, California style. I knew that my husband, who has become a wet shaving connoisseur and somewhat obsessed with his razors and his razor blades, would be thrilled at the prospect of stepping on the grounds of King GIllette's ranch. So we're off.
That's right. So we're in the car. We're on the 101 on the way out to Calabasas. And I did not know this existed. So I don't have many expectations. It's free and open to the public. And we're going to check it out. I'll catch up with you there. Well, we just got off the 101 on Las Virgenes Road. I've been this way before because Malibu State Park, I've gone on various retreats and also just driven through to get to the coast. This is how you get to Pepperdine, and this Infinity just ran the red light. But I've never noticed on the signs on the freeway, on the exit signs for Las Virgenes, is an announcement of King GIllette Ranch. I don't know if that's a new thing or if that's always been there and I've just failed to notice it. It's like, a red Ferrari. You never see a red Ferrari, and then all of a sudden you see a red Ferrari, and right after that they're everywhere. They're suddenly brought to your attention. Maybe a red Ferrari is a bad example. They stand out any day of the year. But a green Mini Cooper or whatever, and then you start seeing green Mini Coopers everywhere. Anyway, it says on the freeway exit sign, King GIllette Ranch. So, apparently I'm the only one that didn't know. Well, we just pulled off Las Virgenes onto Mulholland, and sure enough, on the right-hand side, we find ourselves at the entrance to King GIllette Ranch. What does that sign say, love?
King GIllette Ranch, Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area Visitor Center.
A partnership of the National Park Service, Mountain Recreation and Conservation Authority, Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, and California State Parks. Park hours, 7 a.m. to sunset. Here we go! Well, Jess needed to use the ladies' room, and as it turned out, there's a visitor's center in the driveway here. So we pulled off in the visitor center to see what we could see. I'll ask some questions about GIllette Ranch here, see what we can find out. Okay, cool. So what can you tell me about, well, first of all, I'm here at where am I?
You're at the Interagency Visitor Center, which is the first of its kind in the National Park Service.
Tell me about that.
And then, Shyla, if you can just stop the record, because we always have a few questions about the recording and how it will be used.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
It's for a podcast called Moustache and Blade. It's free. It's actually on wet shaving.
Okay.
So I'm co-host of this podcast.
Nice.
And, turns out there's a whole community of wet shavers out there that use straight edge razors and old double edge razors.
It's a great place to be then, because that's what GIllette invented.
Exactly.
He was the inventor of the disposable razor blade.
So
is that okay for him to record? And
yeah, sure.
It's available on iTunes. It's
Yeah.
I can even send you a link to the episode if or when I put it up. So yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
this is Santa Monica Mountains Interagency Visitor Center. This property here is owned by the National Park Service, and we coordinate the Interagency Visitor Center. All the rest of the property here belongs to another agency, and that is the GIllette Ranch property.
Okay. Is that privately owned now, or
No,
by the family? Or?
No. Oh no, Gillette only lived here just a brief time, and he passed away. And this building here was the stable for his ranch.
Okay, gotcha.
And this was built in the late 1920s. And
Sorry, I'm just going to move closer so the audio's nice.
oh, okay. And the mansion was built at that time too. Gillette moved in mid-30-ish or so and died shortly thereafter.
Oh my gosh, you only got to enjoy the fruit of his labor for a couple of years? Or?
Right, or even less.
Oh no.
Yeah, so then he moved on, and then his wife wasn't interested in staying here, so she sold out almost immediately. But she remained on the property. But the property itself was sold to somebody else. And it was sold to Clarence Brown, a 1930s movie director.
Oh my gosh.
Way before your time.
I am a movie director, as it happens.
No kidding. Well, Clarence Brown was a fairly famous movie director in the 1930s. And he, in fact, directed Elizabeth Taylor in National Velvet. And there are pictures of the Brown house with furniture in it. And I think she's even in some of the pictures. And he also, Clarence Brown, he put in, Robert can fill you in on that, he put in an airstrip here.
No
so his
way.
Hollywood people could come right over here and then spend time.
A 5-minute flight from Los Angeles to the
yeah,
to
I
the
know,
ranch.
but you got to understand the roads weren't that good here. There was no
interesting.
freeway,
Sure.
right? It
Sure.
may be,
A long dirt road was all it was, probably.
right. So what is that?
Looks like a behind the scenes, yeah.
Right.
And it's one of the dining halls in the house.
No, the house is virtually empty. Yeah, because Gillette was here briefly, then Brown was here, and then a whole bunch of other people were here.
Okay.
At one time, this was a seminary, and then there was a cult type group that was here.
Oh, gosh.
And then, so Robert can fill you in on all the history, I think there's even a picture of Elizabeth Taylor as a child.
So it looks like throughout the decades it's changed hands a number of times,
Many.
but how come it's maintained the title GIllette Ranch?
It didn't. It had different names, all different. One group called it Camelot. And so what happened was the last group that had title to it was Soka. And Soka, do you know?
Yes, Soka University of Japan.
Okay.
And they were the last owners of the 360-acre property here.
Okay.
That was passed over from decade to decade after King Gillette. And Soka University created a university. They wanted one in America, and they owned the land here until from 1988 till 2007, and that was very recent. And in 2007, it was over a decade of discussion and planning by several agencies that this land came into, both the California State Parks, the Mountain Recreation and Conservation Authority, and the National Park Service hands. And several years after 2007, the development of this business, this visitor center, came into play, and that's where we're standing today. So now into perpetuity, we have this land protected for generations to come.
So now it's managed by the state, or belongs to the state.
No.
It belongs to the university now.
No.
It belongs to you. No? Okay.
As a matter of fact, it belongs to each and every one of us.
Oh.
Because this site here, this building, this footprint is part of the National Park System.
Okay.
We're the Interagency Visitor Center for the Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area.
Okay.
So, yes, it belongs to the people, right?
Gotcha. Okay, so then the name, getting back to the name King GIllette Ranch. So in 2007, as recently as 2007, it wasn't called the King GIllette Ranch, but now it is.
Soka University, and now that this has been secured and maintained for generations to come and is a place of visit, a place of tourism, a place of protection, it went back to really historically what was this place.
Sure.
King GIllette Ranch.
Okay.
Thank you, Robert.
Yes, no, the man himself, I don't think he would realize that decades later, GIllette is a global, Fortune 100 company that, I always ask in my tours who's used a GIllette product, and it's very rare if not all hands do go up. Very rare if there's someone that doesn't know what I'm talking about.
They pretty much have a corner on the shaving market.
They do, yes. Absolutely.
So wait, you just said you do tours of the ranch itself?
I lead a hike to Inspiration Point,
and
I touch briefly on the history. But we do have we have a calendar of events here in our outdoors where you actually can come and take a tour and learn for 2.5 hours about MGM producer Clarence Brown, or come and take a tour for an hour and a half and learn about King GIllette, or learn about the earlier Chumash Indians that were originally here on this land over 9,000 years ago. So we've got a lot of detailed history tours that you can be a part of and come back and get more information if you'd like.
So when can I sign up for the GIllette tour?
The GIllette tour, let's take a look and see when that next one is.
He's been...
Wasn't going on this weekend.
Michael
And you prefer
Mooney's-
a weekend?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, that's normally
Michael
when we
Mooney's
have
been
it.
doing them on a Sunday.
Crayfish trapping, if that interests you.
Crayfish trapping,
yes,
yeah.
We offer many things.
I used to do that in the LA River.
Yeah, but see, those are things offered all over the mountains because we provide information.
Sure.
Right, and so this is our little booklet of things going on in the mountains.
Okay.
Right. We don't have any crayfish that we're trapping here.
That black case that's kind of in the kitchen area, that's Aliwa. Okay. Because I know we have some. Oh, that's where you
So we've had a Friday afternoon program.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. That's Friday.
Oh, it was yesterday.
Or that's in March. I'm trying to find a weekend one for you.
Okay.
Like you can see on Sunday, there's an innovation in the golden era, but this talks about MGM producer Clarence Brown.
Okay.
And we do have a specific program just about King GIllette. I'm going to find that for you here.
Okay.
There's my hike. I'll lead again on Saturday. That's more of a hiking tour.
Snow. It's hard to imagine snow here.
And that much. And that was a lot of snow.
It has snowed in the San Fernando Valley a couple of times.
Yeah. No, I know. It's just hard to imagine this winter.
It is, absolutely.
Looks like we're not scheduled for this quarter. It will be back in April, May, or June.
Okay.
Will be our next publication.
So in terms of going up there today, what can I expect to see at the ranch itself?
You can do a self-tour, and here's a map of the area.
Okay.
We're located right here, and we have free parking, so if you leave your vehicle there, you can take a right and walk over the bridge, and then you can take this road, and you're more than welcome. You can go as close to the mansion as you'd like. Unfortunately, it's not open to go in and actually see inside. It is auditoriums and conference rooms in there at the moment.
Gotcha.
But you can certainly see the expanse here. This was back before Soka University, there were 2 religious orders, so this will look like a church. The Claretian period, we call it, which was the Catholic church, and they built that building. And then you'll see some auditoriums over here, and those were added for Soka University.
Okay.
But as far as King GIllette is concerned, where we're at his stables, and
sure.
then his mansion, and then of course all of the property along that will give you a reflection of the time when he was here.
And then just based on this map, what is the area that he owned? The 360 acres? Like what is that on this map?
It's gonna basically come over here.
Oh my goodness!
It's a big chunk of land.
It surpasses the borders of this map we're looking at.
It will. It definitely will.
Okay. Interesting. So there's no standing museum or anything to his razors or anything like that?
There isn't. We do have some information in our exhibits here. You'll see there's a picture of him, and also we show how we've maintained the integrity of the architecture.
Okay.
So how he originally built it with his architect is how this building stands. We've just done work to make it what we call a LEED certified building, which is leadership in energy environmental design.
The green, you get like tax rebates and all kinds of awards and stuff like that for LEED buildings, correct?
And this is the first platinum awarded LEED building in the National Park Service. And we have we maintain our own electricity through the solar panels above the carports. Mm-hmm. We have geothermal heating and cooling, where we pipe water down underneath the pond that you'll walk by, so that it's cooled into the low 70s year-round. Mm-hmm. We've got these skylights that look like lights, but it's just the sun magnified, many, many times to be very bright. A lot of technology in here to make it into a very, very green, energy-efficient building.
Very cool.
And you will see some tidbits of information about King GIllette throughout.
Okay, excellent. So this is kind of the hub of information for us today.
It is.
Okay.
The visitor center here.
Was this the original gate that we would have just driven through?
I believe it is. The original gate. The original gate at the front is the original gate is in this picture.
Yes, that's the original gate. It's not the one that's out there now.
Well, no.
So it is different. So
yes.
Okay.
It is.
Okay, well, thank you for that information. I guess we'll just take a peruse about and see what we can learn.
Excellent.
Cool.
It's exciting.
Start over.
Like Mount Vernon, they re-put in what would have been in Washington's house. What do you call that when you...
Restoration?
Yeah.
Like make some historical authenticity.
Period correct or whatever.
Or is it still used as a place where people can come and have seminars and meetings like that?
The Biggest Loser is filmed here, and you will see their building. And then the Soka University dormitories are still used where we have summer camps. We may have fire crews that do their training and need a place to stay overnight to train here. There's a lot of different activities that go on. There's an auditorium where the National Park Service or other agencies will have meetings, and the community gathers and learns about things like urban carnivores or some other topic of interest. But at this time, the mansion itself is not open to the public. It's meeting rooms inside. We collaboratively hope over the decade that it will become a point of interest and a place that we can tour and see, because it's a magnificent looking building when you look from the outside. Mm-hmm. So it was quite an architectural diamond back in those days.
If and when you need a complete collection of vintage GIllette razors,
Really?
I can introduce you to the people that can supply them.
Excellent. Very cool.
Okay, we'll take a little peruse and see what we can find. Well, as you just heard, our trip out to King GIllette Ranch is not going to yield any interesting, unique, one-of-a-kind prototype razors or anything of the sort, at least not today. We will go out and look at the building, but for now, we're just going to nose around the visitors center here, which, as you've also heard, was the stable of King GIllette Ranch. It is a beautiful building. It has been outfitted with a lot of neat LEED features, L-E-E-D features, like these skylights, which are incredibly bright. very low-lying building, very old-fashioned, wood pitched roof. Right when you walk in the door here, there is a placard that says the following: "This old stable." This building, originally a stable, was built in 1928 and designed by famed Southern California architect Wallace Neff. He also designed the mansion and several of the buildings on this site for King GIllette, a wealthy inventor who developed the first disposable razor blade. Rather than build a new structure for this visitor center, the stable was adaptively reused. The building was retrofitted to be safe and energy efficient while preserving Wallace Neff's elegant design. There's also a picture here, and the caption says, "When King GIllette bought the property in 1926, Wallace Neff, who is pictured, was considered one of the foremost architects in California." Another placard of interest has to do with the the Santa Monica Mountains as a setting of movie productions. This particular placard says, "Hollywood's biggest stand-in. The sunshine and temperate Mediterranean climate of the Santa Monica Mountains provide the perfect location for movie magic. Hollywood has used the mountains as a backlot for nearly a century. The variety of landscapes, from grasslands to beaches to Rocky Mountains, means that the mountains have stood in for most places in the world, and many places that are out of this world. For instance, The Creature from the Black Lagoon of 1954. The Santa Monica Mountains stood in for the Amazon jungle. The assassination of Jesse James, 2007, which was supposed to have taken place in Missouri. Letters from Iwo Jima, 2006, Japan. Inception, 2010, Japan. What else do we have here? Memoirs of a Geisha, 2005, Japan. And, of course, the MASH television series set in Korea. It was actually shot here in the Santa Monica Mountains. Okay, Jess, with her keen eye, has spotted the first evidence of anything razor-related here on the property. It's a picture of who, Jess?
King Camp GIllette.
And what else is pictured there?
His GIllette blade, blue blades, trademark.
So we've got GIllette blue blades and King Camp GIllette, a mustachioed man in a nice white hat and nice three-piece suit and tie, collar. It says King GIllette Ranch, now the hub of Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area. The King GIllette Ranch was once an estate belonging to King Camp GIllette. That is his actual name. His name was King Camp GIllette, who invented the disposable razor blade. GIllette bought the property in 1926 and commissioned architect Wallace Neff to design the mansion and outbuildings that still stand on the ranch. This visitor center was the ranch's stable. From the 1930s to the 1950s, the ranch was owned by movie director Clarence Brown. During that era, he played host to many movie stars here. In the years since his death, the ranch has been a church property and a university. Today it is open to the public and available to all. So there's the only vestige of the razors right here, at least the only one that we found so far. Picture of King Camp GIllette and GIllette blue blades superimposed over the photo. Maybe we'll find some other evidence. Let's go find out. Okay, so we've caught back up with Robert here. I just handed him the Mustache and Blade card so he can check out the podcast, and he brought up a nice little tidbit here. Say that again, Robert.
Yes, I participated for the first time in Movember in 2013. I've watched that event grow in popularity, men's health, a really great cause. So I started my mustache growing, and I've never grown one before in my life. I got 2 weeks into it. It was getting thick. It was going well, but I was getting some feedback from the family, and my at a family gathering, my brother-in-law actually recommended in one of Brad Pitt's movies a British mustache. So of course I went, looked it up. Fabulous. Brad Pitt looked great. I'm going to do that. So the very next morning, I created a British mustache, and it looked horrible. It was probably the worst advice I have received from a family member that I followed through on. And needless to say, the day after the British mustache, I was clean shaven again.
Okay.
So I am. It was an unsuccessful Movember, but I'm looking forward to participating again this year, and I'm just going to let it all grow out for the whole month.
Okay, good. Now, what is your shaving routine? Are you just with like a Mach 5? Are you a wet shaver?
Gillette Mach 5.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you know of wet shaving? Do you know of this at all?
No, I really don't. I use Gillette products, and then I also use some natural, more of a cream product at times, and then just with the razor. So what is wet shaving?
I think you probably should check out the podcast and you'll find out.
I will.
No,
I feel, the gel's wet, my blade's wet, but it must be a different process.
It refers to kind of more classical methods of shaving. Brush, cake of soap or cream soap, lather on the face. And then typically wet shavers will reject any kind of new form of razors in favor of
a single blade.
Yeah, either a straight edge or a double edge, safety razor, something of the sort.
Great.
So,
thank you for your card. I'll definitely gain some knowledge in this area.
Cool.
I'll check it out.
I hope you do.
Okay.
Good to meet you, Rob.
As well.
Well, men, I wish I had something better to report. After our nice exchange with Robert and Shyla at the Visitor Center, the former stable of King Gillette, the feeling of desolation and abandonment has continued to the ranch house itself. The grounds are beautiful and they seem to be respectably, I guess, maintained. The house itself is in an acceptable state. It's not falling apart by any means, but it does have a feeling of neglect to it. It's all closed up. Everything's locked. Looking in windows, there's really nothing inside. I mean, no furniture. It's just pretty much an empty house. But to me, I guess the biggest, maybe the best feature of the property itself are these enormous California oak trees, sprawling and very old. I am a big fan of oak trees. I happen to have one in the backyard of my house, and oak trees are among my favorite types of trees. But I think the real disappointment here today is just the real absence of what wet shavers would expect of a place like this, King Gillette's Ranch. There's one photo of a Gillette Blue Blade at the Visitor Center, and beyond that, we haven't found any other evidence of the gift to civilization that King Camp Gillette brought. And that seems like a travesty to me. My recommendation would be that Matt and Tiffany of Razor Emporium would reach out to the National Park Service and say, hey, we have this national treasure in King Gillette's Ranch, and we need to utilize that. And Matt and Tiffany, I would charge you guys with starting to put together the collection that will be on permanent loan here at King Gillette's, at the future site of the Gillette Museum here at King Gillette's Ranch, because this place is just begging for it. That's kind of the main message for me today. I wish I had better news, but such is the case here at King Gillette Ranch. Let's see what Jess has to say. Oh, she's saying no. She's got nothing. But yeah, that's the story. A rather somber Mr. Green on the scene today. Maybe I'll have something better to report on King Gillette Ranch in the near future. We'll see.
And this concludes episode 24 of the Mustache and Blade podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, folks. And again, thank you for your patience and support. We are very grateful for all of our listeners and could not, again, do this without you. So thank you, and keep on keeping on. I will catch you, as will Ryan, also, in next week's Mustache and Blade, where we will bring you many more wet shaving tips, tricks, and entertainment. So until then, people, happy shaving and shave on.
You have been listening to the Moustache and Blade podcast. Thanks for listening, and please leave us a review on iTunes. Almost clean shaven, but hardly clean cut. Moustache and Blade.